morning. It's good to see you all. So, my talk is titled Notes from the Field. There are moments in our life when we know that things are changing and a corollary transformation of ourselves is underway. And every parent remembers the moment with great clarity that the totality of becoming a parent really hit them. It's the crystallization of absolute joy and heart-stopping fear. Yet, we embrace the joy, we face the fear, we take that responsibility head on to raise our child. At first, we pay really great attention to the physical traits of our baby, its growth, its development. We do really silly things like videotape the first time the baby raises its arm or wiggles its finger or anything like that. We get extremely excited when we see it. All of the first checkups are about the physical parts of our child. But there comes a point when we see our child connect outward to the world around them in small things like noises and smiles and behavioral reactions to us. And at that moment, right at that moment, we realize that there is an observable, conscious little being inside that package that arrived to us as a child. And this connection between a child's sensory awareness and the reactions to the world around them is fascinating to watch. What we're witnessing at that moment is the development of thought and the emergence of a self. The emergence of the self is truly remarkable. Our sense of what our child needs expands exponentially. It's more than just physical, it's multidimensional. And at that moment, what we want for our children becomes even more clear. As a whole child, we want them to be intelligent. We want them to be joyful. We want them to be healthy. We want them to be happy. We want them to have character. And we want them to be totally engaged in the world around them. Our job then is to just carefully cradle this new and evolving self as he or she begins the journey we call life. Yet, as each year passes, they will be systematically steered away from being a whole child who possesses a deep understanding of themselves and of the incredible amphibious abilities of their mind. Some of the parts of the world that they're going to interact with will directly work against their natural-born talent to be great thinkers. The question I'm asking is, why is this the way it is? We believe our children are learning as they sit in their classrooms every day. They are learning. They're learning math, facts, chronologies, tables, facts, and more facts. We really, really hope that they're going to get from their education everything they need to fare well in the world once they graduate. They're not. When I say to you that in the last decade, I'm here to tell you my notes from the field, I'm talking to you as an academic and as a parent. I've seen the problems that are facing our classrooms across the country, and I've seen the problems right in my own home as my 3 children are navigating kindergarten, middle, and high school. Their experiences are your kids' experience, and the struggles that the teachers on the East Coast are facing are the same on the West Coast. Teaching at an Ivy League university, my kids arrive in my classrooms simply unable to think. As a mother, I see it firsthand when my son's pre-K teacher says to me, "I think there's a problem with your son. He doesn't like to stop what he's doing and move on with the class. He really likes to finish stuff." Or when my middle school daughter, her teacher says to me, "She can't study what she wants to study for her research project because I don't know anything about it." Or, and unfortunately, my last daughter, my oldest daughter, who just started high school this year, she comes home every day and she tells me that she feels invisible, that her teachers look right through her and all they do is assign more and more homework. In the last decade, I've worked with thousands of teachers. I've been in a lot of classrooms K-12, and I want to tell you what I've seen. When a pre-K teacher feels like she has to move on, it's because she's subject to a culture of standards of learning, assessment, testing, accountability, and all of those things. When a middle school teacher can't allow a student to study what interests them, it's because at school, knowledge is defined within the boundaries of a state-approved curriculum. And when a high school student comes home and says she feels invisible, that her teachers don't see her, it's because they don't. There's no time for them to see the students. They have no choice but to keep moving through the curriculum. And we all know why. Teachers are micromanaged and their jobs are always on the line. At the root of the problem is one simple idea. At this time, right now, schools only have the option to focus on what kids need to know, not to take the time to teach kids how they come to know things. We all know that it's broken. We're all looking for someone to blame. We're asking who's to blame. The answer is simple. It's no one person. Every teacher I talk to wants to connect deeply to their students. They want to spend more time on those questions that are posed in class. And they just feel horrible when they know they have to move on through the curriculum. Every principal I talk to is searching for ways to better support their teachers in the efforts to meet their students' needs and to allow their teachers to simply teach when they're in the classroom. Every superintendent I know envisions a district whose graduates leave their buildings as thoughtful, productive, successful citizens. And every parent, and I mean every parent, hopes that their kid will realize their potential and succeed in everything they try to do in life. So we all are making it our life's purpose to give our kids the skills they're going to need once they graduate and set out into life. So the question is, what do they really need? Well, it's going to depend on who you ask, but most people will list things that relate to intelligence, resilience, or self-reliance as the key to a child's ability to succeed. What we must develop, I believe we need to develop the enormous potential they're born with to be flexible, adaptive, robust, metacognitive thinkers. And I bet you're wondering, how are we going to do that? Where do we start? We're going to start by identifying and understanding the primary components of thinking, which are the key to understanding ourselves, understanding our children, and understanding the incredible potential of the human mind to learn. Research now tells us that there are 4 universal ways in which human thoughts are created. It's true from preschool to graduate school and beyond. You, me, my kids, your kids, politicians, scientists, anybody, we all think in these same 4 ways. First, we distinguish ideas from one another to better understand them. We also easily understand all ideas in their part-whole structure. And when we think deeply about ideas, we think about that in relationship to other ideas around them. In other words, ideas are more easily understood in the context of the other ideas that they're surrounded by. And finally, we must take many perspectives on any idea to fully understand it. And it's perspective taking that develops really important traits like compassion, empathy, and open-mindedness. These 4 things are the basis of both cognition, or thinking, and metacognition, thinking about our thinking. It's the powerful combination of cognition and metacognition that will develop that whole child, the whole child that's intelligent, emotionally capable, and engaged in everything that they do. So the most powerful tool that we can give our children is an understanding of how they think. When they know that, their potential to understand themselves and anything else around them is limitless. They will actually become lifelong learners, and eventually they'll become their own best teacher. So we need to redirect our efforts. We need to rethink what we mean when we say we want our children to do well in life. I know it's possible to develop the whole child, and I know we can fix the system to accomplish it. We all share a responsibility to shift our thinking and to help our children develop into themselves fully. No one is to blame for the state of the system today. We all have a role in it, and if we stand together, we can fix it. And I like to think of it in terms of our rights and our responsibilities. Children have a right to the development of the whole self, their character, their work ethic, their content knowledge, their sense of themselves, and of an understanding in how they learn. And with this right comes their responsibility to speak up when they're not learning and to be engaged at all times. Parents have a responsibility to ensure that their kids' rights aren't trampled on, or that their kids' rights aren't systematically subjugated to things like politics, mandates, or any other thing. And also, we need to give our kids a voice. And most importantly, when our kids' voices aren't heard, we've got to speak louder on their behalf, over and over again if it's necessary. And teachers have the right to pour themselves, their whole selves, into developing a whole child. And teachers have the right to teach children, not subjects. And school leaders have the right to innovate when they're trying to better meet the needs of their communities and to be a staunch advocate for learning. We are not entrenched. If we believe we're entrenched, we will fail to see possibilities. We will miss opportunities, and we will lack hope. We're responsible and thoughtful people. We all want the same things for our children. We're all on the same team: students, parents, teachers, administrators. If we stand together with a common vision, we will have the two things we need to truly bring about this change: hope and opportunity. Thank you.